Aye.
We're going to go for 4 minutes this time.
No, I'm ready.
Okay, we'll call the Board of Adjustment meeting to order and approve the agenda and minutes from the October 25th meeting. Have you had a chance to read them? Any changes, corrections, additions? Motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. New business. Tom Probst variance request. And we have finding the case number 2023-27V. Eva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a variance request for relief from the Cook County Zoning Ordinance to replace and modify a substandard principal structure at a reduced ordinary high water level shoreline setback of 30 feet within the shore impact zone of Clearwater Lake, where a minimum of 100 feet is required on a substandard lot of record. The applicant's property includes 0.5 acres with approximately 154 feet of Clearwater Lake shoreline. The parcel is contained entirely within Lakeshore Residential Zone District. Newly created lots within the zone district must be 1 acre in size, and Clearwater Lake is classified as a recreational development lake. I'll make a quick note that on that map on the bottom of the first page, page 3 of your packet, the orientation of that, just kind of keep in mind, is not this normal north arrow, just that was the angle of the photo that I could see the cabin at, so in case we get curious about that. For a general project description, the applicant, Thomas Probst, is requesting relief from the shoreline setback requirements of Clearwater Lake to replace the original cabin with minor modifications, including a 3-foot increase in roof height and eliminating a 29-foot indent by squaring up the corner of the building. All other attributes of the cabin and deck are to remain the same as originally configured and located. The variance also requires relief to allow development on a substandard single lot of record, which the variance is required for that due to the small lot size and the inability to meet the setbacks. I included the ordinance citations, which includes that requirement for the substandard lot variance relief. The photo on the bottom of page 4 is showing from the driveway looking at the side of the cabin. The lake is on the right-hand side of that photo. For background, the cabin was built in the 1940s and has been maintained over the years to reflect an effective build date of 1975 per the Cook County Assessor's records. The applicant indicates that this cabin was originally built as a part of a resort. Both properties on either side of the subject property have received variances to be replaced and expanded from the original cabins. For site conditions and considerations, the property has a septic tank and treatment area which served the existing cabin proposed to be replaced. The septic was redone in 2009. Mitchell Everson provided a memo indicating the septic compliance inspection will be required. There are no issues with impervious surface coverage nor wetlands. The parcel does have a unique slope. The existing cabin is located between the toe of the bluff and the lake. Behind the cabin is a bluff feature which includes a retaining wall, and at the top of the bluff is a septic treatment area by the road. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on October 27th. 10 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments and the DNR hydrologist. We received 2 written comments from adjacent property owners during the written comment period. Todd Petzel had no objection to the variance request, and Paul is lenient, full support due to the modest request. The Soil and Water District also provided a comment letter with best management practices, including managing the water runoff and improving the existing vegetated buffer. Staff recommendations for consideration. The applicant has requested a relatively modest increase from the original cabin. Alternatives to comply with the ordinance requirements are limited due to the small lot size and the existing layout of the property with the retaining wall and the septic tank. It is highly important to preserve and improve the vegetated buffer between the cabin and the lake due to continue visual screening and providing stormwater filtration between the development and the lake. The shoreline buffer could be improved further by adding native shrubs and plants. Stormwater drainage should be managed to direct stormwater runoff away from the lake to allow as much filtration into the soil as possible. It should be noted that the structure has grandfathered rights to exist, be maintained or replaced in exactly the same configuration as the original structure under Minnesota state statutes. The variance is a requirement due to the increase in the height and the squaring up of the corner of the building that's involved in this proposal. I did include that state statute language, I believe, in your packets as well. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to this variance request. A compliance inspection shall be submitted in conjunction with the land use permit application. The property shall conform to Minnesota Rule 7080 in the Cook County Septic Ordinance. No vegetation shall be removed from the shoreline impact zone. A 10-foot minimum shoreline buffer shall be planted with native plants and shrubs along the shoreline to improve the vegetative buffer. And a gutter or catchment system or vegetation conducive to water retention shall be included on all new or proposed structures to divert precipitation and snowmelt away from Clearwater Lake.
Thank you. Is there someone here to represent Mr. Probst?
Me.
Would you like to step to the microphone and give us your name and address?
Yes.
And,
This microphone?
yes.
Oh. My name is Tom Probst. I own the cabin with my parents, Tom and Jean Probst, and I'm here representing them as well. We've had the cabin probably. Is this my chance to speak or?
Yes.
Okay. You need my address too. I live at 9340 84th Street North in Grant, Minnesota.
Okay.
We've had the cabin probably 50 years or so. We came up when it was still a resort, and then when Ray and Alice Kulik, they sold, that was Ray's retirement plan, was to sell the cabins one by one, and my parents bought one after much discussion with us kids. And we just, it's our cabin in the woods, and we just want to, it's to the point now where I was painting it a couple of years ago, and I realized I'm just painting over rot, and it goes all the way down. The posts are sunk into the ground below the foundation, and the beams were below grade. It's just, it
Worn
doesn't,
out.
we can't keep it up anymore the way it is. It's just falling apart. So we'd like to rebuild it, and I did have an architect from Duluth come up and look at it, and she gave us some initial drawings, and she said, you know, if you could square off that corner where there's a little indent, that would just make the whole living area work much better, because right now it's very claustrophobic. So we'd like to do that, and we'd also like to raise the roof about 3 feet. It's about, I think, 14.5 feet now, so we're not looking to add a story. We just want to improve the pitch a little bit and make the inside the ceiling a little higher, because towards the lakeside, a tall person can't really stand up there. So that's what we're hoping to do.
Okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay. We'll close the public comment. Talk to the board here.
I did do a site visit.
Okay.
I did note that you are experiencing significant deterioration in the materials that currently represent the building. It clearly is not going to be stable for very long. There were a couple of soft spots even on the deck.
I hope you didn't walk on it.
Yeah, the 29 square foot modification is really just squaring off a little corner. It's not materially changing the footprint of the building at all. I understand there's details we need to attend to in terms of what the law says and what we would be making variance to, but it would make perfect sense to do that. The constraints of the property are obvious. It shows a lot in the pictures, but when you walk it, it's reinforced quite significantly. And then lastly, they've done a great job of maintaining the vegetative barrier in front of their place compared to their neighbors who've got grass to the water. So there's, you clearly enjoy that big white pine you got out front there. And it's good. My recommendation is, having visited the site, that we would approve as depicted. And then before we go through it, on requirement 1, Neva, is it the compliance inspection report? Is that a septic compliance inspection
Yes.
report?
Yep.
So we should amend that to indicate.
Sure.
And Charlie, do you have? Questions or comments?
No, I think this seems very reasonable, and it seems to fit the character of the neighborhood, and
Okay.
I think it's good.
I was wondering about the dimensions of squaring up the corner of the cabin. Is it 3 by,
Yeah, I can show you if you'd
Something?
like.
sure. Sure. I'm not Judge Judy. I don't have a bailiff.
So if this is kind of the lakeside, and I think at one point this might have been a porch that was enclosed. It was way before my parents bought it. But there's a door here, and so what we'd like to do is just square this off.
Okay, we're not squaring this off.
No, just this little part in
Okay,
blue.
that's where the
So it's
29
44 inches wide by about 8.
You guys see that?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
could tell when I was standing there which part he was talking about and knew how.
It's
This is
just
really
little
small.
tiny-
Yeah, I've been out there.
Oh, you have, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I have a copy of that?
Yes.
Or can I just have, this is in your application?
It should be,
It should be.
but you can have it anyway.
Okay, sounds good, thanks.
any other questions or comments? Let's go through the questionnaire. Is the variance consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the proposed use of the property allowed in the land use district?
Yes.
Is the property owner proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner?
Yes.
Is the property owner established that a practical difficulty involved is due to circumstances unique to the property?
Yes.
Yes.
Will approving the variance maintain the character of the locality?
Yes.
Has the property owner established that a practical difficulty involves more than economic consideration?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the variance with the one modification to item 1 where it becomes a septic compliance inspection report is required.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Done deal.
Thank you.
That's what I say. I've been on that side 3 times. I understand what you're going through.
This is, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You had a nice presentation. It helps a
Yeah,
great
it
deal.
Really does.
Really does.
Put it all together. Well, all right, next one.
Go out and celebrate.
Okay, don't take this personally, but we are going to hit the road.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you all
Long drive.
very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Okay.
Somebody's gonna sleep tonight.
Last night.
I'll send you guys an email tomorrow with a summary.
Thank you, Nina.
Yep.
Diane.
Okay. Michael Stapleton variance, case number 2022-28V. Neva?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a variance request for relief from the Cook County Zoning Ordinance to place a principal structure, a 528 square foot cabin at a reduced top of bluff setback to be 20 feet from the top of bluff, where a minimum of 30 feet is required, located at 1753 Greenwood Lake Road. The applicant's property includes 1 acre with approximately 200 feet of Greenwood Lake shoreline. The parcel is primarily within the Lakeshore Residential Zone District. Newly created lots within the zone district must be 1 acre in size with a 150-foot structure setback width location, and Greenwood Lake is classified as a recreational development lake. The applicant, Michael Stapleton, is requesting relief from the top of bluff setback requirements of Greenwood Lake to place a 22 by 24 principal structure on the property. The structure would encroach 10 feet on the 30-foot top of bluff setback requirement. I included the bluff area standards in the ordinance citation there. For background, currently the property has a driveway and a cleared space at the top of bluff for development. In 2007, the previous owner went through the wetland replacement plan process to purchase wetland credits to mitigate the impacts of fill for driveway and parking placement. The driveway accessing this site crosses wetlands and impacted approximately 3,000 square feet. The survey that was supplied in the wetland replacement plan application did not show the bluff feature and instead showed the building site at the 100-foot setback of the lake, which is in the bluff feature. For site conditions and considerations, the The development plans have a septic holding tank proposed. For impervious surface coverage, there are no issues with impervious surface coverage. Drainage from the proposed build site could potentially be managed to drain towards the wetlands instead of downhill towards the lake, depending on the roof line. Wetland avoidance is a factor in selecting this proposed build site. For slope, the survey work done in 2007 did not identify the bluff feature. In the photo on page 38 of 56 in the packet, the blue line measures approximately 100-foot distance, and the black area indicates the bluff feature present. The orange star that's on that aerial photo indicates the approximate proposed cabin location. Note that the cabin is well exceeding the shoreline setback distance requirement. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on October 27th. 13 letters of notification were sent to adjacent property owners as well as county departments and a DNR hydrologist. No written comments were received in land services at the time of this writing. For staff recommendations for consideration, the property has unique limitations due to the triangle-shaped parcel with wetlands and a large bluff feature, which creates limited conforming building space. The applicant has proposed a relatively small cabin, and with proper stormwater runoff management practices, should be able to mitigate impacts of development. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to this variance request. Number 1, drainage shall be managed with gutters to drain towards the wetlands and away from the lake. Number 2, the property shall conform to Minnesota Rules 7080 and the Cook County septic requirements. And number 3, no component of the proposed construction may be closer than 20 feet to the top of bluff as determined by Cook County land use specialist. I did include some notations on the photos that I took. There were stakes out on the site, and then in some of the photos, if you look really closely, there is kind of a pink ribbon, and I overlaid a red star over that pink ribbon, and you can kind of see this on page 42 of 56 in the staff narrative. There's an aerial, there's a photo that I took, and then I put white arrows to kind of mark the proposed corners of the building, and then that red star in the middle is what Mitch Travis determined would be the 30-foot structure setback, that conforming building setback. So that's your reference of the 10-foot encroachment.
Okay, thank you. And are you Mr. Stapleton?
Yes.
Okay, state your name and address, and
I'm sorry.
State your name and address.
Michael Stapleton, 5170 West Highway 61 in Lutz. And I went through cancer treatment about a year ago, and it affected my hearing, so I apologize if I asked to repeat something. It's because of the hearing being affected from the chemotherapy. Before I bought the property, I had Mitch Travis look at it with me, and it's rather unusual, or maybe not as much in that area, but it's a bluff, it's steep, and then there's a gradual slope between maybe 12 and 15 feet towards the top. And I thought from talking to Mitch at the property that the setback was going to be closer to Greenwood Lake. And if you look at the 07 survey, it shows a house site that was a previous owner and 100 feet off Greenwood Lake, and it shows a mound septic site. And there were 2 soil borings done out there that were signed off by the county, and they showed a pitch in one of 6 degrees and the other was 8 to 10. So I didn't think this setback issue, or this bluff, was an issue at all. And I wanted to make sure, so I had Mitch come out there before I bought it. So thinking there wasn't an issue, I bought the property. I called Rick Crawford to get on the list for next year to install a holding tank. He said he had some time this year. It's not a big job. I said, before you do it, I want to make sure this is going exactly where it is, because I know it's inspected. And I met with Mitch Everson, who I talked to before I bought the property, to verify the setback. So I verified again the setback and the 500-gallon minimum tank. And then I ran into Mitch Travis, and I said I bought the lot, and he said, oh, I'll come out to take a look at it again. And that's when he measured off the 30-foot mark. And it did go towards the lake, but not as far as what I thought. I thought it would go close to where the septic site would be, which is in the area where the builders and I thought it could be placed. So he marked the 30 feet back And I said, boy, I don't know how I'm going to turn around my truck in here. This takes away a lot of the turnaround. The one side is right up against the property line. There's wetland over here. The cabin is here, and the bluff is over here. What now? And he said, well, you can apply for a variance. So I immediately went down, talked to Neva, told her the concerns, got the application. She stressed the 20-foot impact area. I called the builders right away. They met me at the property. They'd been out there twice. We took off some square footage on the cabin. We took the deck off the cabin, and we determined if a 10-foot variance would be possible. It would solve the issue with the holding tank and ample room for turning around vehicles in there, because the turnaround can't be extended or can't be expanded because of the wetland and the other issues. So I'm asking to build a 10-foot variance so I can build a 528 square foot cabin. It's off the grid, a dry cabin, there won't be a well, 10-foot logs, steel green roof, solar panels, gutters to protect the logs and also drain away to the wetland, and the foundation would be 6 sonotubes pinned to the existing rock, and there's a building space site already there, so there's no vegetation that needs to be taken out at all for the cabin. So
Thank you.
I'll answer any questions you have on that.
Okay. And I don't see anyone else to comment. Were there any letters?
No written comments, no.
Okay. We'll close the public comment. Talk to the board. Did you go out to this one?
I did.
Yes, you did. This was the hair-raising ride.
Yep, yep. Yep.
That's
Four-wheel
Greenwood Lake.
drive was definitely necessary, and I made sure I brought the chains, and I actually thought I might have to use them. So,
But you had fun.
I was fine. My wife was white-knuckled. She was sure we were sliding into the ditch outside of cell phone range, but leaving that aside. So I did go out to the site. I noted the constraints of both the bluff and the other things going on with regard to wetlands and so forth. The thing that I'm aware of that I don't know who else would be aware of on the board here. Well, actually, you two were both in my variance meeting. There used to be a law in the books that if there was less than 24 inches of soil and you were building on bedrock, you could build without regard to the continuance of the bluff. And that has since been removed, but what I noted here is that's almost all bedrock. So from a bluff risk perspective, this is about as minimal as they can get.
Okay.
And he's already said he's going to use sonic tubes pinned to the rock. So he's not even looking to excavate at a level that he's just going to use the rock for what it is,
Okay.
the best foundation he can have. So I look at that. The modest size of the cabin is excellent use of the space that he's got available to him. So I appreciate the flexibility and trying to determine what those options are for you.
Mhm.
And then the rest of it all looked to be pretty straightforward.
Okay. Charlie?
I agree.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Nope.
We'll talk louder. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the variance as offered by land use office and the landowner,
With the conditions?
with the conditions as stated, yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You
Thanks.
did a good job putting it together, too. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, your graphics and annotations help.
Yeah.
All right, I'll send you a letter tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
The questions.
We need to do the questions.
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Ann.
no, no, we
Yes.
do.
Yes to all of them?
Consistency is good.
Okay, questions? Consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive land use plan?
Yes,
Proposed use of the land allowed in the land use district?
yes,
Owner proposing to use the property in a reasonable manner?
yes,
Has the owner established the practical difficulty involved in is
Yes.
due to circumstances
yes,
unique to the property? Will approving the variance maintain the essential character of the locality?
Yes.
Has the property owner established that the potential practical difficulty involves more than economic consideration?
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
Thank you, guys.
Well, looking for the clock. How fast were we?